Don, can you give us your synopsis of what each of these three guys, how they fit in, what they can bring individually, how they can fit into your team, and in terms of what you've seen transpire here over the first 90 days?
Sure, Kevin. I think I'll start by wishing Anders Bjork well with Buffalo. Obviously, these are tougher deals to make when you've had an invested young player that the development path. So we wish him well. We're excited about the three players we were able to add. Trying to touch upon a couple of areas, 5-on-5 scoring. I know Taylor hasn't scored at the previous levels in years past that he has. I think if you look a little bit below the surface, he's had a lot of scoring opportunities. They haven't gone in, whether that's just bad puck luck or whether that's things that he needs to do a little differently, make some adjustments. We're going to sort of point some things out to him, but ultimately we think that he adds to the depth and balance of our club, bringing speed off the wing, having the opportunity to probably play with Krejci and or Coyle, and hopefully not unlike we did before when Marcus Johansson and Coyle's line was put together, we create some depth through our lineup overall. And obviously Taylor's extremely motivated. He's excited to be here. As he pointed out, we had some talks over the summer. It didn't go the way to be able to sign him then. Followed him throughout the course of the year and revisited the opportunity to bring him in. And Curtis checks a couple of boxes for us. The center position, being a two-position player, having some experience, having some heaviness in the bottom part of the lineup, having some versatility. I think if we want to mix and match that bottom six, and so we're excited. He's also extremely excited to join our club and really be in a playoff mindset to try and get our club into the playoffs. And Mike Riley, a player that we've seen grow from his time in Minnesota and Montreal, and then moving on to Ottawa in a much elevated role, puck moving, transition game, skating ability. You even saw the difference when Matt Grzelcyk went out of the lineup, that we want to be able to be a team that transitions, be a little cleaner at times. He's produced offensively, the offensive blue line, not necessarily scoring, but certainly contributing point production wise, has played in all situations. And again, been in elevated roles with Ottawa, and you've seen growth in his game, both in a competitive standpoint, but also overall, as I said, matching up and playing against higher level opponents than he had seen in previous years with Montreal. So we're excited as well. Those guys all jumped in the car to get here from a quarantine standpoint, and they'll be arriving and hopefully ready to go tomorrow. Curtis will be a few days before he gets over his lower body injury.
If I could just dovetail on quickly there, because you're talking defense, is there anything new or more to know about the general state of the injured defenseman?
Well, I mean, it's been a challenge from the course of the year. I did some math, and we've had significant man games lost in the guys that we had put together as a potential top six in the starting, and we've had some players that have really filled in admirably. Connor and Camper on the right side have done a really nice job of coming in and playing some really quality minutes, and we're going to need them throughout. We're going to need everybody. We've already used 12 guys, and we're hopeful that we'll get some guys back. And we got to get healthy and stay healthy and all throughout our lineup. But most importantly, getting Rash back at some point in time, Halak back. And again, the young goaltenders have done a nice job. We've certainly tested the depth of the organization, maybe albeit more so than we would have envisioned. And they've, a lot of times have responded well. Obviously, last night's a fifth game in 7 days. The other team was waiting, rested, no excuses whatsoever, and our hockey club would own that. But we do need to get healthy and stay healthy. And Kevin Miller and Charlie and Brandon on the right side are a big part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Conroy.
Hey, Don, just from a personal level, how important was it to you to give some of your older vets another good kick at the can here with some help?
Well, it starts with their investment level, Steve. Overall, the team dictates, and health has been we've sort of been monitoring where we think we're headed health-wise, and you just never know when injuries come and if they're going to continue to come. But we have such a motivated group. We have a tight-knit locker room. on and off the ice. They're pulling for each other. You definitely want to add some juice. And, we felt that finding some depth and finding some potential balance and scoring up front with the addition of Taylor and versatility in Curtis and puck moving ability in Mike, that we were trying to address what we thought would be a couple areas of need and to complement our group. You never know. Obviously, you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, but our group, they want to compete. This leadership core, and we're trying to incorporate the next guys that want that mantle as well, and trying to reward them with the investment that they put forth. And our coaches as well. Just if I can add, in terms of what your coaching staff goes through with these guys, they're part of that. It's not just on the players. The coaches are so invested in the development process and continue to get better, and they hold the group accountable. And it's a team-wide effort, and you're trying to help in any way, shape, or form. That's the manager's role to try and evaluate where your team is at and improve when you can.
And just one more, you've got a lot of left shots now up front. Do you see an obvious fit for Taylor?
I mean, that's Butch's job to put the lines together. You've seen him tinker an awful lot. I think he would like to, not unlike, as I referenced before, in the year we went to the Cup, we found some guys that fit with each other, and that's what we're going to try and do. I think we do have some players that can play up and down the lineup, and first blush, Jake will probably move to the other side and use the speed. Maybe we create a line that has speed in the wings and go from there. Even Smitty, for that matter, has gone up and played really well with Patrice and Marsh. So that gives it a different look. Again, I think we have more depth, and hopefully we've added a little bit of scoring, and we get some balance that'll be more difficult to match up against with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ludo Shinzawa.
Don, 2 questions. First on Riley, specifically below the goal line in your zone, and then inside the offensive blue line. Just how do you think his skills there will touch the rest of the team play if he can be clean and reliable in those 2 specific areas?
Well, getting back to pucks, retrieval-wise, and recognizing that first pass, within the structure and of what our team is trying to accomplish, I think Riley will help in that area. Getting up the ice, supporting the rush, being, as I referenced, being clean on the first pass coming out or through the neutral zone. He does have some ability in the offensive blue line, which he has shown to be able to get pucks through or to make some plays going down the wall, getting the pucks to the middle. He's got experience. He has confidence. He's done it at every level. If you look at his numbers and the progression at the NHL level, he's got a power play component that I think he can, again, you see Grizz who went out of the lineup. Charlie's gone in and done a little bit of that. You're just trying to find some depth and a little different flavor with experience. And I think Mike brings a little bit of that on both sides, as you referenced, from the goal line out and then getting into the offensive blue line.
Okay, and then a question on Taylor. You mentioned maybe it's puck luck, and you would think that the goal scoring would regress. But where do you see the progression of his game in terms of what he does to create those chances, whether it's speed through the neutral zone, entries, forecheck, just the stuff that leads up to, so to speak, the shots and the goals?
Yeah, I think the ability to get through the neutral zone, pushing defense back upon entry. And let's be honest, he's going to play in behind, Brad Marchand. He's rarely had that in the opportunity he's been at other places to play behind a guy like Brad, who sees all the tough matchups every given night. And hopefully Taylor can use his speed and gain some separation, push some defense back. He can certainly prove he's gotten around defensemen to get the pucks to the net. And obviously having a chance to play with either Charlie to play off of that or possibly with Kretsch, who can get him the puck in those areas while he's in motion. He's gotten scoring chances. He just hasn't finished at the same level he's had in previous years. And you never know. I mean, you point out the rest of the mean. That's what we're obviously hoping for. And he's motivated to do that. So, we're going to give him that opportunity and see if he can't ride with it.
Joe McDonald.
Hey, Donnie, in the past, you preferred acquiring a player with either term or the ability to re-sign. And Taylor told us today that, he would like to stay in Boston past this season. Just how do you see that progressing and what needs to happen for those talks?
Well, it usually comes with success.
Right.
and fitting in. Taylor will have a say in that, and our group will have a say in that in terms of how those two things come together. It's in a short period of time that you have to find the chemistry and find out where you fit, and that he's comfortable. We've had players in the past that they might have been expiring deals, but we felt they were a good fit going forward, and we'd like to believe that with Taylor. And I think the proof will be in the results. And again, not to put an added expectation on him, I think he accepts the challenge, and that's why he chose. And he had a say in this. He had a chance in some evaluations talking with Kevin Adams, who did a really good job communicating with us as to where things were at and where we thought we'd be able to find a deal. And we were fortunate that Taylor chose us. So, there's a give and take in that, and we'll see how it unfolds. Get him comfortable and hopefully have success, as much success as possible.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe Haggerty.
Hey, Donnie, you've had to give up first-round picks in a couple of years in the recent past during deadlines. How much of a priority was it to hold on to that first rounder, just given all factors involved, and not use that to get a player if you could?
It's never the overriding rule for us that we wouldn't do it. We've just felt that, obviously the market dictates a lot of times what you have to give up to get a player that you want. And we explored several different opportunities in hockey trades and situations where, we'll pull the trigger, right or wrong, and that's part of the job. And you just hope you're pulling it for the right reasons, more than the wrong, and then you live with it. But our group did an awful lot of work. I want to thank them and the scouts, and it's such a trying year to get to coverage and games and going over on video. And as Steve can attest, he knew Evan Gold was probably up pretty late last night, completing a trade call. And so again, it doesn't go unnoticed with the people that we work with every day in trying to find the right players and pull the trigger on the right moves.
Half quarter.
With Taylor, Don, one of the things he spoke about was, his confidence is down. He was pretty, forthright in saying that. Curious how that kind of sits with you, that kind of, projection on his part. And then what does it look like from an organizational and coaching and, teammate perspective to try to rebuild that confidence for him?
Well, he's been a highly successful player at the highest of levels. If he has a little bit of success, I think you could get a snowball effect associated with that. The pressure's not on Oler Taylor, and I know our leadership group will let him know that. He just needs to come in and fit in, does what he does well, and complement the group. And he's excited to try and do that. And again, I think the fact that he's playing behind. Brad, in that sense, he's playing with really good centers and in a motivated team that plays with structure and wants to win. Those are all the recipes when he was winning Memorial Cups. And, it hasn't happened for him at the NHL level to be in that situation. And he dearly wants that opportunity. And that's why he chose to come with us. And we're just going to try to put him in roles and situations so he can take advantage of his skill set and complement our group.
Thanks.
Time for two more. We'll go next to Steve Wino, followed by Jimmy Murphy. Go ahead, Steve. You can unmute. There you go.
Hey, Don. With all three of these guys, they're able to drive there from Buffalo. How nice is it to know that you're not going to have to wait a week or more for these players in quarantine like some other teams might have to do?
Yeah, again, it wasn't an overriding decision as to why we selected to make deals, but it's a nice added benefit associated with what the challenging environment we're all dealing with. And those guys were all motivated to do it, which, speaks to the fact that, they want to get here and get acclimated and playing meaningful games. Both those teams previously weren't going to go to the playoffs. And this is just a new opportunity for all three of these players to be immersed as quickly as possible. And we're fortunate they jumped on it.
Thank you.
Final question, Jimmy Murphy. Go ahead.
Hey, Don. You've obviously expressed the interest you've had before in Taylor, and he expressed the same thing. And, we've seen sometimes before, not just with you guys, with all NHL teams, where that can sometimes happen where a team misses out on a player, but they later get them down the line. What's that like sort of behind the scenes in that in-between period for a GM and maybe your scouting department as well, where you're sort of still keeping an eye on that player and hoping to get them later on?
Well, I hope we do that with all players that we identify having interest in. It's my job to find out who may or may not be available and really go through our scouting departments and analytic department to identify areas and players that will help us. And we did that with several players over the course of this entire season. It started obviously in the off season, identifying some players. It's not always free agency is a unique time. I mean, Craig Smith had opportunities to go elsewhere. So you're never guaranteed, whether it's a free agency or through trade, that the player is going to be here. So you have to do your due diligence and have some, I don't want to call it backup plans, but you have to have different routes to pursue because you're not the decision maker. You're trying to find an agreement. And but in Taylor's case, we certainly knew that he had interest in us, and maybe that played some of the factor into him deciding, because he had the authority to veto trades if he wanted to go to particular places. And so for me, there's a mutual buy-in there. We obviously invested in acquiring the player, and the player is invested in coming to us. And hopefully that's when it works out the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, media. We'll send out a transcript a little later this evening. We'll see everyone tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody. Be well.